All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's general meeting of the Decentralized AI Agent Alliance, or DAIA. This is general meeting number 7. Um, Real quick, just to remind everybody that the mission of DAIA is to foster the development. To, there it is. To foster the development and proliferation of decentralized AI agents through education, activism, research, and events. Uh, Today's agenda will have new members introduce themselves, go over some general business of DAIA, get an update from the subgroups, and I think we'll have the majority of the time left for an open discussion. So some quick stats. We're up to 112 members that are projects, companies, and that's up 6 in the last month. We've got 34 individual members, up 5. We started largely as projects, but now individuals and projects are signing up at about the same pace, so that's interesting. Recent new project members, both big and small, like Hedera. If there's any of the new folks who haven't yet introduced themselves, please introduce themselves.
Hey
Anybody been
guys,
out
great to
there?
be here.
Yep.
Thanks, Lou, again, and really appreciate you starting this entire movement. And we're getting some of the best founders and researchers on board to solve the biggest thing that matters, right, for decentralized value networks, which is that powering the future of AI agentic economies. And for that, I have something to share later today about the new AI on Bitcoin subgroup. My name is Parth, founding contributor at Tachi on Bitcoin, and the founder of Nakamoto Hub. So really excited to share something later in this call.
So great. Thanks, Parth. And yeah, I'm excited that Parth is going to be starting the Bitcoin subgroup at DAIA. He's going to talk about that in a little bit. Let's see. Who else here is first timers?
It's
Introduce
my first
yourself.
time showing up, Lou.
Okay. Well, you can introduce yourself, although it seems
Sure.
you already know everybody, but
It's hi, Josh Lawler, Zuber Lawler, and long time friend of Lou, and finally got off my ass and tuned into what he's been inviting me to, and very glad that I did. Looks like a great crowd. Also, I don't know that I'd call it an official association or anything else, but I have been hosting the get together for Morpheus in Los Angeles at my house the last couple of months. So that's become more and more of a project that I'm really looking at as well.
very cool. I didn't know that about Morpheus,
Mhm.
but glad to have you. Anybody else?
Hey
Yeah,
everybody, I'm
Oh,
you got it. You got it.
Dr. Adel Al-Misiri. My PhD is in AI, machine learning trust networks, and I'm also like a long-term friend of Lou and Josh and Parth. So I'm so happy to see familiar faces. Published papers on the intersection of AI and blockchain, supervise students at AUC, and have my own venture builder in Nashville, Tennessee. My track record is 3 successful exits, 1 unicorn, 2 flops, and a dozen in flight, uh, including being an advisor in Tachi and the founder of AI Value Protocol. Super happy to be here with you guys and hope to contribute.
It's great to have you here, and great to see that Parth has really surrounded himself with some of the best. And then Ty.
Yeah, I'm a senior product manager at Hashgraph, which is the development firm of Hedera, and my focus on the token service, the consensus service, and up till recently, I was running the AI strategy for Hedera. And then on my free time, because I'm an insane person, I've been helping work with another community DAO group inside of the Hedera ecosystem called Hashgraph Online. And we're building open standards, things like HCS10 for decentralized agentic communications with trust attestation, and 100% decentralized search and discovery and registry. So I've been talking with Nanda at MIT, and it's really exciting to join this group to understand what the trajectory and mission of this organization is. It seems like a lot of great thought leadership in this how do we create an agentic internet that doesn't destroy us all, like the anti-Skynet thought process here. So yeah, excited to join, and yeah, hope I can help.
Or at least kills only a small percentage of us.
Yeah.
Great, nice to have you here. Were you at the MIT? I think on a couple weeks ago we were talking about the MIT had a big AI conference.
I watched it, and then the
Yeah.
president of Hashgraph Online was there in person at Cambridge. So that was a really good moment of, yeah, great minds coming together and thinking about this.
Very cool. Anybody else new here? Going once? Twice? Okay. Let me go back to, here we go. So, and then just a general update on DAIAA.
I don't see that, Lou.
Whoop, sorry.
You still see the Medium page.
Ah, okay. Hmm. Okay, 1 second. Sorry. There we go. There we go. How's that?
We're good.
Okay, and then general update. As Parth was talking about, I think the big new update is the AI agents on Bitcoin subgroup that Parth mentioned. And so I'll turn it over to Parth just to quickly discuss, the subgroup.
Awesome. Really appreciate it, Lou. Can I share my screen
Yep,
briefly?
there you go.
Sure. Awesome. Perfect. Hi, everyone. Really excited to share this. Obviously, Lou and the Tachi team have been discussing this prior to, kicking things off. And the catalyst for why we needed to create a new subgroup was this, that, it's the largest decentralized value layer on the planet, and only recently have new cryptographic approaches called meta protocols been able to unlock programmatic Satoshis on top of Bitcoin. So we've had this search for the holy grail of how do you have digital gold having the most, I would say, high security value asset in a decentralized substrate, not even being in the conversation of securing or powering the future economies, right? Which is going to be the AI agentic economy. And that's where we have been a pioneer, obviously, on our side to supercharge every Satoshi natively. We, as Tachi, are basically creating the spiritual successor to Lightning with our own virtualized UTXO model, which then allows you to have WebAssembly code running on virtualized sats using Satoshis. So that means that we want to get a great research effort going for all of us as builders, as researchers, to find out and to build on AI agents and AI agent economies directly on BTC. What we want to do is three things, right? Firstly, unlocking native Bitcoin settlement for AI agents. That's the number one key focus for us as an open protocol, but also for this larger research initiative and DAIA. More importantly, we want to then see how do we have the infra rails to combine not only the sound money of Bitcoin with fully sovereign compute and guarantees, right? This will become more important as we come towards the cusp of AGI and then ASI. AI agentic swarms will want to leverage the most sovereign compute available, right? The most decentralized and large scale value layer available. And that's what we want to do to first create the research backbone and then the infra rails to make this happen. Quick background, founding contributor at Tachi here. What is Tachi? Tachi basically provides programmable BTC, right? Secured by Bitcoin full nodes in the lines of what Lightning does. But the key thing is we're now unlocking multi-runtime execution. And that's where AI agents can own their own wallets and run their own sophisticated smart contract logic to move sats both on-chain and to other chains. So we want to have AI agents being able to use self-custody with native Bitcoin instead of wrapped Bitcoin, and have this secure, scalable, verifiable on-chain recursive proof. Very quickly, I'll just get into what kind of research areas we all should be focusing on, and I would love to invite every single one of you to come and join us here. Firstly, sovereign agent architectures, right? We will ideally, through our work in the subgroup, and of course, under the leadership of Lou and a lot of other amazing people giving their inputs, we will define what does it actually mean for AI agents to operate UTXO-based, fully sovereign wallets with self-custody without relying on any wrapping or bridging requirements for using Bitcoin. How do you have DID on BTC? What kind of fail-safe mechanisms or inheritance protocols exist for agentic BTC wallets, right? So this is a key problem for all of us to solve. The verifiable intelligence on BTC and anchored on the Bitcoin mainnet is the next key research area, right? So that's where what Tachi has created is a brand new ZKML-based proof on BTC. And of course, we want multiple research efforts going here so that you have fully auditable on-chain AI transactions and eventually decision-making anchored to actual sats and secured by the security guarantees of Bitcoin mainnet. Finally, obviously, we'll have clear deliverables. We want to move fast. So the end of the month one, which is what we're starting off from next week, is having the foundational report of how Bitcoin should be a sovereign substrate for all AI agentic models to consider. And this is where our manifesto and core thesis will be established. And the second month, we want to have a very comprehensive mapping of all the missing tooling and integrations required, everything from DID to logic execution, and all the base layer and L2 layer gaps and protocol gaps that need to be filled on BTC. So obviously, Itachi is building a few rails for that, but we'll need at least a few hundred different builders coming together to make this actually scalable. And finally, we want to have a scalable proof of intelligence market as a POC, which we can actually deploy and show live on BTC. So really exciting stuff. It's obviously research heavy. So we want to invite the best minds from all domains, right? Whether you've been working in TradFi, on Web2, AI, inference, and foundational models, all the way to working on BTC or the EVM ecosystem. Quick thing on Tachi, what exactly this means. We've created a few cryptographic breakthroughs to allow self-custodial onboarding and unilateral exits for every Bitcoin onto a virtualized SAT VM, which is a modular runtime where, as I mentioned, WASM and other smart contract-based apps can be deployed, where any update to any smart contract is updated in the metadata of the updated UTXO or Satoshi itself. And finally, two new forms of proofs, which have a great lineage from the founders of Lightning and other protocols. What we want to do is allow fully sovereign, self-controlled wallets where AI agents and whole companies can be built on top of Bitcoin using smart contract-based runtimes with the security guarantees of BTC mainnet. So without using bridges or pegs, without having a federated architecture, and without having the issues of wrapped Bitcoin, still being able to have this programmable intent-based economy built on top of BTC. And that's a quick run through of what we have done. I can always share the white paper and the deck with you later, but really excited overall on how we want to together enable the AI economy natively on BTC. There's a lot of reading I can always share with you. We have 3 white papers on 3 key cryptographic protocols. But right now, really excited to kick this off. Please come on board and please invite your fellow researchers, founders, VCs, GPs, and other builders. Thank you so much.
So that was great, Parth. A lot to take in. Very ambitious subgroup. I'm excited about, and obviously we're here to support you. So I'm seeing here that it's the second and fourth Wednesday.
That's right.
there, at what time?
So we'll be doing the, like you mentioned, the standard 12 to 1 p.m. EST. I
Okay.
think that makes sense. Yeah, once we get the group going, we'll put an announcement out for that.
Okay, terrific. You said the first one is next Monday?
Yeah, so that should be
Next Wednesday?
13th of
Yeah.
August. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, terrific. Again, that was awesome. Anybody else have any questions of Parth before we move on?
I
have a
had one, but I
question.
think it was answered by his presentation, so I take it back. Thanks.
Awesome.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
I have a question.
Hey, Andy.
So,
Hey,
Parth, this is a very ambitious agenda.
sure.
Where does the demand come from for this stuff? And if people get involved as founders, at what point can they turn these types of capabilities into revenue, in your opinion?
Yeah. So again, what we're starting off is with first creating the actual roadmap as an industry to make this happen. Coming here, right? So firstly, we have to really define what makes Bitcoin the right substrate and what's the sovereign agent architecture that may differ from something like a Solana AI16Z-based agent versus a sovereign Bitcoin-based agent or a Swan. That's the key first building block, without which we can't build on the next. So the next one is where the key requirements of, hey, I'm an institution or I'm a set of institutions, and we have hundreds of thousands of BTC, which has to be at some point usable by agentic economic marketplaces. How do we make that happen by onboarding that natively? That's where this mapping has to occur. And that's where you'll find a lot of founders finding out, hey, none of this that exists in EVM or in the Solana ecosystem actually exists for native Bitcoin. And a lot of them could be key projects, like, for example, the ELIZA OS team and others, just simply porting what they're building onto a substrate like Tachi so that you have, with minimal code changes, the ability to use the same smart contracts and mechanisms with underlying Satoshis instead of with underlying SPL tokens on Solana or ERC20 tokens on EVM. Similarly for the virtuals team. But I anticipate there'll be a few new use cases which haven't already been created on EVM or Solana. And that's where we will foresee a lot of good fundable opportunities from a couple of good founders at least.
Did that answer your question, Andy?
I think it did. Parth, I think what you're saying is that you don't know where the revenue is, but that there's opportunities to get funded to build interesting tools and even to take ideas from EVM.
Right. No. Let me answer that. So obviously revenue opportunity is there, right? So there's nothing bigger than Bitcoin for institutional capital onboarding. Institutional capital onboarding is now experimenting in scale with AI agentic intents, right? Especially on Ethereum and on Base, right? At scale. So a few hundred millions of capital is already being tested. And how you automatically, for example, intelligently balance certain pools, create arbitrage-based settlement, and new RWA lifecycle settlement without having human intervention or without having just static protocols like Aave or Morpho. You want to have more intelligent on-chain economies. And a lot of these treasury plays on Bitcoin will be looking at this as well. So how do you replicate a smarter cross-chain or even within Bitcoin DeFi AI intent? So that would be the first revenue opportunity.
Okay. Okay. Well, thanks a lot for that. I think move on. Let's see. A second. Well, no, I'm back there. I don't need to share. And then we're going to go on to any subgroup updates that was out there. I saw Eric Forrest.
Yeah,
Any
happy
updates from the
to
agentic?
chime in. So we had a great subgroup, agentic commerce subgroup call week and a half ago. We had the CEO of Aionix on the call, and he took us through his agentic platforms. Super interesting to look at how kind of all their agents have wallets incorporated into them. You log into their platform with a wallet. So agentic commerce is something they're definitely building for. And we also had a visit on our call from, just pull up my notes.
On the tip of your tongue?
Yeah, on the tip of my tongue. We had Crypto World sharing his ERP inventory workflow project using Hedera. So we had two really nice demos. And we're meeting again this Wednesday at noon Eastern time. So look forward to seeing you all there.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. Adam?
Hey everyone, representing on leading the legal subgroup. We haven't been super active lately. I'll tell you what we were working on, and then I'm actually curious, I want to throw it out there that we may want to merge with another subgroup, or if someone else wants to come in and just bring some new energy and leadership, I can co-lead with you for a little while, and maybe you could take it over. What we were doing in the legal subgroup was researching all of the legal issues related to AI agents. We started by collaborating on a prompt and making a list of all the issues that had come up with I'm actually not a lawyer, but the lawyers in our group, issues that had come up with their clients, issues that we were aware of that are legal issues, regulatory issues as well to some extent. And we were planning on sending that through. I mean, we have tried it, planning on sending that through just some deep research tools. And then one of our members was also working on collecting case law about the same topic. And so we thought by kind of bringing that all together, we could then use AI also to create an even more comprehensive data kind of database of examples and or research output that we could share with this whole group. We could share even externally. But yeah, again, it's just for the last maybe 3 months or so, we just really haven't been. We've had people coming to the meeting. I think we're interested. I've gotten busy. I have newborn puppies at home. It's probably the major reason that I'm not putting as much time into some of these things, even though I'm still very interested in it. So I guess that's the call to action if people want to help. Actually, our next meeting is tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific. So especially if anyone wants to either ping me in the chat or just and let me know if you want to invite, and then we could talk about that more in the meeting tomorrow. Or feel free, if you want to DM with me, we can talk about it now. I'll send my Telegram in the chat.
Adam, I'll DM with you about it a bit, and just for the whole group, in order to get some ideas for this, I think the problem with a legal group is it's too broad. It's like saying consulting. It's everything. So if we were able to have legal subgroups, like a legal subgroup about litigation issues, I just put something in the post about a judge who stepped down, and there's questions about whether he stepped down or she stepped down because of using hallucinations. And then the kind of stuff I'm most interested in, I think is really important and relevant for this group, which is blocking and tackling. Like how do we actually build the legal basis for all of this? And the other stuff is kind of irrelevant to that. So I think that's just my one suggestion is maybe different subgroups, and then the subgroups will be more active because there'll be more focus and something to grab onto.
Cool. Yeah, anyone else have questions or want to weigh in on that? But yeah, Steve, that's awesome. Thank you.
Maybe we can get Josh in there.
That would be awesome too. Yeah, if you're free.
Yeah, I'm kind of sitting here kind of going, yeah.
That would be a great addition to that.
I mean, I think Steve's dead on. It's a ridiculously broad topic, and I mean, you've got everything from the litigation actually in court to what I'm a little bit more interested in, which is how do we keep the agents from running amok? Yeah, Adam, I threw my email into into the chat too, and just invite me. I don't know if I can make that time or not, but Steve and I go way back also, so sure we'll figure something out.
Nice.
I think kind of the original intent was that, in fact, the groups were likely to be very broad, and that over time they would splinter into multiple different subgroups.
Yeah, cool.
How many
Yeah,
people are in the
maybe
group?
maybe we'll force the splintering now on this one to get it going again.
And you know, my initial interest, by the way, even was different from those two. So it's another good example. You know, for me,
Yeah.
we've thought about doing a law or regulation or both in the Marshall Islands about AI agents, like giving them legal personhood in some way. Yeah, I could see how this is very broad.
Yeah, the personhood discussion's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
It's funny that you guys bring personhood because a couple of years ago, I wrote a paper with Professor Larry Bridge-Smith about that exact topic, that AI will reach a certain point where it passes the personhood. And I called in it for creating an artificial constitution, meaning a framework that would regulate the interactions between not only human AI, human, but also AI, so that we can enshrine that in any AI development going forward, and hopefully protect us from Skynet kind of thing.
Now,
Yeah.
Dr. Adel, I'd be curious what you think of in terms of a methodology for enforcing any set of regulations that are specifically agentic focused, because it will go there, but I don't know what the answer to that is. That's where the science fiction books and cyberpunk all kind of go off the rails in terms of what's actually possible.
That's a really interesting topic, and I think that blockchain actually may hold the solution for it. So in order to have some sort of accountability, there must be a way to enforce it, and a way to enforce it on a digital entity is quite hard because it's not a human or something that you can put it in a box, unless you actually use cryptography and blockchain to do that. Meaning that imagine for a second that our time or our freedom is tokenized as people. So same thing we can do for AI agents. And in order for you to interact with the rest of the ecosystem, you have to have that token per se, which is also the way that we can bar you from interacting with anybody. So basically, effectively putting you in a digital jail.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Nadella and I are going to spearhead the saving the world from artificial intelligence.
And if you need
this is something that Josh and I were talking about at SRT.
We were.
And I was actually coming off, I'll link to my talk from Consensus, but this is what I've been harping on for a very long time. I think it really starts at the, obviously the trust level, the on-chain level. We've been thinking about financial technologies and, kind of governance technologies for the last 15 years. But personhood and, digital rights, it really comes into context, and we get to kind of guinea pig on these artificial intelligence, synthetic intelligence, but it'll really come into context when, Josh, as you can see, has really made it. And, when he starts to turn, 80, 90 years old, he doesn't want to leave this planet as his persona. He wants to upload and be a previously human intelligence. So we want to ensure that those rights, his financial and corporate rights, are still available to his heir as it is.
As it were. Thank you, Logan. I'm touched that you care.
That's a great example. By the way, the Marshall Islands,
just for a moment.
Our partners in the Marshall Islands are happy to work on something like this if we want to start with the small country. So
okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Go ahead, Lou.
I was just going to say, I'm fortunate. I've got to hop to another call. Alan and Robin are going to continue as the hosts, and Peter still had to give an update on the conversational voice subgroup, and look forward to catching up with everyone. And Andy Singleton should move over to the other call.
Thanks, Lou.
You guys.
Thanks, Lou. Appreciate it.
I was just going to comment on what you guys were talking about, and it's interesting because the show Pantheon, actually, this is one of those situations where watching science fiction does help your understanding of things, right? Because they actually run through all of those eventualities by creating an entire world of uploaded previous humans, and the rights issues that would happen, and over the course of time, 100 years later, what it looks like. And I think having that visceral understanding of it is so good, because I think it's really hard to conceptualize these things, when you aren't seeing them in front of you.
This is great.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess it's just a plug for the show Pantheon.
We're being programmed, right? We're being pre-programmed for the. See,
Yeah.
what I was when I was running the Sophia project, I mean, we got citizenship in Saudi Arabia for the persona. I mean, it was a trust fund, but issued a passport for a robot. Now, precedent for this can be, probably done better in better jurisdictions. But happy to speak on the legal call tomorrow.
Yeah.
Another interesting starting point is even laws like Wyoming's, but including what we did in the Marshall Islands, the DAO LLCs, they already said an algorithm can be the manager of your company. And so that's already, an interesting approach to, giving an AI what feels like legal personhood with humans or other legal persons that are still ultimately responsible.
Yeah, although I like the idea of taking it from Dr. Adele's kind of perspective, and instead of starting with a simulated human and working backwards, going full on into, an agent that is not human specifically, like somebody creates an agent for whatever, purpose or objective, and it's, out there. And how do we govern it? Because I think that gets more to the, problems with Skynet kind of issues than trying to figure out how to preserve, somebody's legal rights in their, next iteration does. Not that they're both not very worthwhile, but I don't know. Doctor, what do you think? Should we should we create
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that like the creating simulated humans and so forth is appealing from a cinematic point of view and storytelling, but kind of like if you wanna create something that is more effective, you have to either create registration for it or code for it, or marry both.
It's got to
That's
be
it.
code. I mean, I'm thinking some type of universally applicable code. And I've talked with a few other folks in, kind of the Morpheus front about this, and it seems to be the way it pushes is there's some kind of effectively, necessary internal organ, if you will, that is required to function in the, I don't know, what do we call it? The agent verse?
Well,
Yes.
to be continued tomorrow.
Yeah.
Whoever can make it.
Guess so.
We also have a Telegram link, which is in the calendar invite, but I'm going to post it here. Actually, I'll just give you all of our links because we have a few links if people want to poke around the work we already did. And I'm not trying to stop if people want to continue on this topic, but we can continue after today too.
I think
I'm glad, it's always
Yeah.
been an awesome discussion. It's just we're not doing a lot of work in between meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine lawyers might be busy.
Adam.
Sorry, say that again.
We need some controversy. We need some meaty stuff to deal with, rather than hypothetical situations. Yeah.
Well, I gotta tell you, we have it. I mean, it's like Adam said, lawyers know how to talk and fight with each other, but they need to do something when we're not talking and fighting with each other.
Yeah. Lakshay, you've had a bit of you're doing a bit of work in this area, aren't you?
Yeah, pardon me, Robin.
You're doing a bit of work. You're doing a bit of work in keeping things honest, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I was just listening all the point of views around the security. Me building the topmost trusted infra layer, I think I'm somehow trying to bring that to the infrastructure that we are trying to build, right? So if we have to see from the scammers and security side of things, there are two types of concerns coming into the market. The first one, which can be find out or seen through the code, and the second one, which cannot be find out or rectified through the code, right? So in the first one, it comes about the data and everything, and the second one's it comes around the hallucination, biasness, and all those other factors, right? Which can only be identified through the human once you start interacting with it, right? And if you see current market and solution providers that are trying to build anything around the security, everything that they are trying to do is either just to get the code, the auditors, how blockchain smart contracts get audited, right? Maybe in a manual way, or maybe through a product, right? But there is no proper security layer which can continuously validate what a model or AI agent is doing based on how users are interacting with it, right? Eventually, the big unicorns in AI, they all have their own big validators of team of people who keep on getting or trying or try to hack the systems of their own companies. ChatGPT has their own team. It is something around Red Team or something that they have named. So every company who currently have their own AI models have a own in-house team of validation, which cost them a lot of dollars, right? So somehow with this particular infrastructure that we are trying to build, we will gonna be the code vetters plus the decentralized validators for all the AI agents and AI models, and eventually bring a score to this particular all the agents, right? So that the journey for the end users to choose among the agents becomes a lot more easier. Right now, it's way more harder. If I go to Google or any marketplaces, I search for a small AI agent which can do this task for me, I will get 50s and hundreds of agents. And until and unless I try all of them, it becomes way harder for me to get the best one. Maybe I will just try the top three ones and go for it, right? But that doesn't make sense that if they are better or they are secure more or things like that. But with this particular store, that will be comprehensive of all the factors of how the AI agent is getting built, what's going inside and what's coming outside. It becomes a more universal approach that we are also trying to show. So happy to discuss anytime on the legal and security side of AI. I'm always up.
Thank you, Lakshay.
All right,
Great.
why don't we pass it to the next subgroup? But
Next
I'm
topic, eh?
stoked
Yeah.
about all the engagement. Thank you.
Agentic commerce, agentic payments. Eric, Ian, what are we wrestling with there? Yeah. Peter, you've been very quiet tonight.
Yeah, I guess
Or-
Eric might have dropped, I guess. So Peter Camille here. I run the conversational voice AI agents subgroup, and I've had some good speakers recently. The CTO or CIO, Chief Information Officer at Nova Echo, gave a presentation on some features coming out in Nova Echo 2.0. If you're not familiar with that platform, hang on, I'll put a link to it in the chat. You can go hear it for yourself. But so he was talking about how, like, currently, like, you get to choose a voice, you get to choose, enter in what the script is that it sort of follows. Um, but they're working on a lot more features to really engage in conversations and make the bot smarter. So they're tracking things like the state of the bot, so it knows whether it's listening, whether it's thinking, whether it's talking, whether it's, it needs to pause, or whether it's time to jump in. Because a lot of times, we're talking as humans, and someone says oh or ah, and I know I can keep talking because they're just sort of commenting, and you don't want to get those awkward pauses from a bot that's like, someone said oh, and you don't want it pausing for like 3-4 seconds and deciding if it gets cut off or not. So they're doing a lot more advanced features around that part of the conversation, or making the conversations more human-like, and the pauses, and the time between them a lot better, but also around monitoring. So they actually are adding features for live monitoring, so you can actually test your bots, listen in real time, and see that, oh, here's where it was thinking, here's where it's listening, and showing you the full transcript of live conversations. So, and and then just sort of on a side note, I was out with my nephew yesterday, who recently started a new career in health insurance as a sales rep. And he literally is talking about how, like, oh my God, this job is crazy. They're just giving me these list of people to call all the time. and I like showed him a demo of like Nova Echo, and I'm like, this thing could like take all those qualified leads and just book appointments with you for the people who are actually interested. And he's like, wow, I really need to look into this because like otherwise I'm just going to be spending 8 hours a day on the phone, talking to people with, 90% of those people hanging up on me.
Yeah.
So
Resilience. I mean, imagine the resilience you have to do that. I mean,
yeah, and that's why the turnover is so high in those
yeah,
types of jobs. And
yeah.
so, let the AI do that. And I also want to point out there's some studies that came out recently that showed that if you combine the voice AI agent, if you combine voice if you do an email, it actually improves the open rates by 3x. So you can combine these where first you send out an email to someone and then you follow up with a voice call. And even if you just leave a voicemail that says, hey, just want to let you know I sent you an email, about this topic, if you're looking for health insurance, check that out. Like the open rates go up 3x. So that's got to lead to more sales. So it's not just about doing the voice, but it's about combining them with other marketing channels. And the fact that it's available 24/7 again means that, hey, if someone fills out your online website form or your Facebook form and says they want to get more information for that warm lead, you can call them back immediately, whether they did that at, 2 o'clock on a Saturday or, 10 o'clock at night on a Tuesday. And again, you just get better results. So a lot of interesting stuff. Um, it was a really great presentation by by John at Nova Echo, but unfortunately the turnout was really low. I think when we started, we had 3 people, and over the course of the next half hour or so, like another 5, 6 people came. So for that, we figured, okay, we're in the dog days of summer, so we're going to skip the August one, but we'll be back in September, and I'll provide a link to that one. We could get some early signups. So I putting that in the chat for you to
Thanks.
join. And is any if like I've got a couple people I'm going to reach out to, or they're doing some things interesting in the AI space, in the conversational voice AI space. But if anyone here has anything that they'd like to speak about, let me know. Feel free to reach out, and um, if you'd like to speak or present.
Thanks, Peter. Anybody
Thanks,
else
Robert.
with anything? George, what are you wrestling with at the moment? If you're there. I know you deep down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Hi there. Hi everyone. So we keep wrestling with collecting the all this information that has been shared in the meeting summaries and conversations, trying to get some content, extract some content from this and help the agent mandate to be able to reply to engagement processes and queries from members. So basically, it's been on that. So I've been mostly listening to the meetings that I can participate and working on the background with this agent Monday and all this effort to get some meaning out of all this shared information between everyone, because as you all mentioned, there's a lot of things spoke and shared in the meetings, and then there's a gap up to the next meeting. So there's effort I've been making with Robin and Alan, trying to get take some out of this and make it useful for everyone.
I was wondering
And
because,
that's it.
George, I was wondering because it's quite difficult to tell whether actually somebody's doing something worthwhile with this AI and their agents and things, and whether they're actually live and they're working, because it all looks fantastic. But I wondered what challenges you actually having like on the ground. You working with some governments or government entities and things like that. I mean, what are the challenges and where are they with their AI and their agents, and are they open to that possibility? are things actually working, or is it just smoke and mirrors?
Yeah, there's a lot of smoke, and I think that's already something everyone recognized, because there was a hype of enthusiasm with these possibilities. When you go to actually use and daily use, there's a lot of noise and still some lack of reliability, and that's most of the contact that most of the feedback that I've been having with these potential clients and potential users of this AI and agent is like, okay, this seems very interesting. This has a huge potential, but we have to rethink this properly, and we have to have a good strategy so that we can actually make solid steps forward. So basically, that's the main concern, going from this looks great into actually I can rely on this on a daily basis. There's a lot of effort going this. There are a lot of projects already with solid results, but it's not as simple as it seems at the first look.
Got it. Got it. Right. Well, anybody else got any topics that they would like to bring up? What does Lou do? Going once?
Sure.
Amit, there we go.
On what Jörg
Welcome.
was saying, yeah. So I mean, because the LLMs are stochastic by nature, if you understand how, like, you know, these algorithms work, it's all statistics and calculus. So there's always variability on the responses, and so you get a lot of these false positives. So I mean, one of the areas I'm working on is in the audit space, doing security audits, specifically in the crypto space. And so what's interesting about this is that you can have the LLM do a self-eval. So when you do a security audit, especially for the high-level security vulnerabilities, there's a requirement that you need to actually prove that it exists. You have to create a unit test and demonstrate that the security vulnerability actually exists. You need to prove that it exists. So you can actually, so this is something that, you know, LLMs are very good at. They're very good at coding. And from my experience, we're very good at writing unit tests. So what you do is you generate a lot of data. You have the LLM go through and generate a lot of these potential security vulnerabilities, you know, and there's a whole complex process of doing that. But let's just say it does a whole bunch of stuff and it generates all these vulnerabilities. And there's a lot of false positives and, you know, kind of murky data in there. So, but there's gold in there too. It's like mining for diamonds. So you generate a lot of data. It's kind of like, you know, throw a lot of mud and then you want to see what sticks on the wall. And then you have an agent go through every single vulnerability and attempt to generate a unit test that demonstrates that it's true. And then you have another LLM, like a higher reasoning LLM, verify that the unit test is valid, and you go through this whole loop. So you can actually take something that's very stochastic and make it more deterministic by forcing it to actually prove its output. And you can't do this in everything, but in things where, you know, things that require like formal verification, or you can implement formal verification or these types of tests, you can really put like some guardrails on the LLM's response.
That's great, Amit. Thanks so much for sharing that.
In this topic, I would recommend that there was a presentation in the Berkeley's Agentic AI Summit that someone shared in the Telegram groups. There is a presentation from Hayan Stoica about reliability. It's quite interesting about these topics, because they made a review on the different type of potential mistake sources and categorize it. It's quite interesting to have this overview of how we can work towards a better and more reliable systems based on these agentic AI frameworks.
Thanks, George. Ty?
Yeah, I guess I like that idea. In practice, at least locally for me, sometimes when an AI gets frustrated on a test not passing, they change the test to pass, or they stub it out, or they change the way. I guess like their main goal is to appease me, right? It's kind of like the Mises box. It just like it has this little thing, and it just wants to do exactly what I want. And so, how do you keep the guardrails on when the instead of manipulating the test to be passing in some structure, you make sure that it's actually coding functional tests that
Yeah, I've seen that happen, Ty. So I've seen it where it would just like have a test that just counts the logs. It just doesn't do anything. It just says, oh, confirmed. So you have to have another large language model. Like I like O3. O3 is really good. So I use like OpenAI O3, and then it will basically check over the results like a different language model. Like O3 is great because it's good and it's cheap. Like if you use Claude Opus, it's like $15 input costs. O3 is like $2. And so from just from grinding away and testing, I found it does a really good job. So I'll send it to O3. I'll take a look at the results and say, oh, well, this is bullshit. And then send the feedback back to the LLM, and it will say, okay, well, oh, that's good input. And then it'll do another round. And then you go back and forth between the two models. And so that dramatically reduces that type of cheating behavior that the LLM will definitely do. So, but I mean, I can't guarantee it's 100%, but the more you can get it to like, the closer you can get the error rate down, that false positive rate down, the better. So
yeah,
and
it's
it
kind of
becomes like super expensive doing these things because the verification and part, it just becomes like super crazy. Like the amount of steps that I have to go through because I'm verifying like even before then, like I'm doing like multiple verification phases even before I have it create the unit test. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, that's super fair. Like a swarm or like an auto GPT helps reduce that. In my experience, when I'm building tests, the thing I do initially is create a markdown file that details each test and what it's going to actually do, and then that's what I use as the proof. So when I have my O3 or something go through, I say, hey, here's the markdown of what it was told to do, and here's what it did. Or even if it's the same LLM, and it's like, hey, you stubbed this out, but look here on this markdown, you clearly didn't follow it. Just rehash and re-critique yourself. And I've gotten, nice. I call it the percent of divergence from purpose. And so, like, all we're doing is trying to get that percent to as close to zero as possible. And that's been, markdown files locally of purpose are like the best ways for multiple swarms of bots to read the actual task hardened without you explicitly trying to detail it every time. But I mean, that's just my process. It's like we're all in the Wild West still. But very, very cool. Yeah. I was just curious on how you attacked that one.
Nice. We're learning from each other. That's great. And I just call on my partner, Alan, because we've got 4 minutes left. Alan, anything that we should close off with that I've forgotten because I usually get.
Well, I was just wondering if there are any more vibe coding sessions planned for the future. I think we had some interest last time and some good attendance on that, people learning. Was it Adam? I think did you have that host that before?
Maybe he's gone off with his dogs.
Yeah, maybe he's gone. Okay. Well, that was just a thought.
Andy was part of that meeting, and that was a pretty good one.
Was there more interest in that, Alan? I think there was actually. It was a super enthusiastic turnout, wasn't it, eh?
Yeah, and I was looking for that and maybe what else we got coming up in the future.
I thought you'd be anti vibe coding with all these hacks and whatever, and your.
Oh
and
yeah,
your-
that's why I like
your
attending them.
coding, eh?
That's why I like attending them. Figure out what's really going on. I mean,
To pick holes in them.
yeah, it's just it's a fun topic and it really needs to evolve some more in the output of what you get with vibe coding. My opinion, at least, looking at some of the outputs of what you end up with. You don't end up with all the necessary security you might need and other aspects,
Yeah,
configurability and things like that. But I'm hoping for it.
yeah, good, great.
So aside from vibe coding, do we have people lined up for the next member showcase yet?
I
Good
don't
question.
think Lou hasn't mentioned anybody. So
Okay.
if you have
Because I
somebody,
know I've been working with Amit on this Change Shield AI audit solution, and I thought that could be really
oh,
interesting.
cool, yeah.
And was
I heard
curious if
that.
anyone in the group has any smart contracts or things, or has ever paid for an audit or knows people who've gotten hacked or whatever, because we could do that as a test case
Oh,
and
that's a cool
show
idea.
that how he creates these audit reports in minutes that would have taken months.
Nobody's volunteering. They don't want to disclose that they're back. Sorry, Ty, did you want something to say last word?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think vibe coding is an extremely, people see it as a gateway. Hey, I don't know how to engineer, but now I can make things digitally, and they have that aha moment that I think every engineer here has had when you finally made a web page that you made. But I think a very underutilized and very high value target market of coding along is AI assisted engineering, where it's not vibe coding with people who completely have no idea about engineering, but rather how do you use AI tools to systematically help your architecture diagramming, your security preferences, and then implement those things in a way that is enhanced engineering with AI rather than running and gunning with vibe coding and you get something, but it's a security-ridden mess. So it just food for thought. I think AI-assisted engineering doesn't have any real traction, but it's one of the most important things because it takes engineers who already know how to code, and then it just accentuates their skill set, and that's just not a targeted market so far.
Yeah, makes complete sense to me. Yeah.
I wanted to add to that. There is a link that I posted in the chat regarding my latest paper on the use of AI in education. And instead of using like one agent, it's agentically architected to where you have 3 agents, one that does the delivery, one that does the assessment of the student, and one that does the lesson planning. And this way, each one of them performs a role to help get the educational content delivered to the student. So this way we can customize instead of having a one size fits all.
Great. I'll stick that. Can I post it on our Twitter, on our X?
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, everybody. That was fabulous. Festive conversations. We're learning a lot. So thanks a million, and we'll see you next month.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Hi,
Cheers,
thank
everyone.
you.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.